So, I'm going to do some invites as usual. Give people a chance to come in and see where Dr. Rod at Walking University teaching today. But I ain't really teaching. Today I'm helping motherfuckers remember some shit. That's all. So, the title is The Role of Men in a Matriarchy. Because the misunderstanding of what matriarchy is skewed or clouded by the realization of the patriarchy we've been living under. So they tried to form a patriarchal government that Enlil wanted to implement on the earth because he thought that the Y chromosome was superior to mitochondria. Little did his dumb ass know, as Anu told him, until you understand mitochondrial, you will never understand the woman's right to inherit where she's organic to. So he wanted to push this patriarchal agenda because he believed that the male gods were the superior gods, which gave us gender wars, uncivil war, as my sister Susie B. wrote in a book called Uncivil War, about the conflict of the male and the female in the so-called, as they like to call us, African American or black community. So we know that patriarchy is primarily male dictatorship in the home. And under the patriarchy, we believe erroneously that matriarchy is just do the same thing the patriarchs doing with women in the lead. Well, that's not going to work because that's not what matriarchy is. That's feminism. Feminism was designed to always keep the patriarchs coming back to power by keeping women powerless. That's not matriarchy. And the power in the matriarchy is in the children. And the mothers or the women job is to nurture the children and to be their first teachers. Then the father or the male role is to protect. So you look at it first, before we modernize the understanding, first we have to look at it from a more primitive standpoint, like primal human existence. So if we didn't have technology and we were operating our clans matriarchally with no technology, what would that look like? Right? Let me put my blunt down for a minute. Give me a little sip. We about to take off like my man Uriel, the flight boss. We finna take off like the flight boss bitch up in this motherfucker. But let me give you something to drink first. Alright, this is what we do know in modern times. We know this. The system, the police, and the courts have been weaponized against fathers by women who didn't have the interest of the children in heart, but instead had a selfish agenda to use the system as a weapon. So they taught the certain women to weaponize the system in order to subjugate the man and prevent him from being able to have extended families. So the side of the police car in almost every city you go in, you see the sign on the side of it say, to serve and protect. Right? That's my guy, flight boss, bitch. Serve and protect. What the fuck do that mean? Because all we get as far as service and protection is brutalization and death. So that can't be what true serve and protect mean. So if the court system and the police system has been weaponized to um, remove fathers and make them incompetent or inept in the home, what this does in effect is it raises the children to all be drones, feminine drones. Even if they male, they will still be a feminine drone because they don't have no balancing mechanism to feed off of. There's no masculine energy that's showing them how to um, harness that energy, control that energy, focus that energy, and utilize that energy to serve the family and protect. Right? So um, the women are our first line of defense against child traffickers and pedophiles. But when they give the call, the men's supposed to be Johnny on the fucking spot right there. If that don't have to be your woman and your child, when she give the order under matriarchy, she called the distress call, the SOS, then the men, wherever you at, if you a man and you got testicles with testosterone pumping through your blood, you supposed to stop everything that's moving until we understand that this woman and this children is safe. Now, in the era we in, the men walk past a woman watching her child be abducted out of her arms by a stranger, and she's screaming for help, and we just look. We don't go over there and say, hey, hold up. Somebody got to sort this shit out. Somebody going to have to call somebody parent and tell me what the fuck going on. I need to know who child this is and why y'all struggling for this child. But no, we not going to do that in modern times because we in this secret squirrel culture. Everybody want to act like they don't see children being traumatized. People see it. I remember being a little boy and seeing adults abuse children and other adults turn the other head like they don't see that shit. Under the matriarchy, the first understanding between the man and the woman is we adults. It's about the babies. That's the first understanding. So your adult grown folks bullshit at this point won't have any sway in the relationship if it's not in the best interest of the child, because the man gonna do what's in the best interest of the child or children, and the female, the woman, gonna do what's in the best interest of the children, and then from that point they can pair up their job roles, their functions as parents, uncles, aunties, cousins, big brothers, big sisters. You can now balance the effort out so that nobody is taking anything personal. It's about the children. When you make it about an adult, then you make it about an agenda, a dictator, a patriarch. That's what the whole system is about. The adults running the shit the way they see fit and not being properly educated to run a goddamn thing. We talk about raising matriarchy and restoring balance back to the earth families are disrupted. So, for those who are familiar with Madame Blavatsky, she wrote several key works. She wrote Isis Unveiled and she wrote The Secret Doctrine. Those are some pretty, what they call, weighty tomes to peruse through. That means them some big ass books to read. So, and she talk about what's called root races. And then she mentioned something called Sibyls. And then she mentioned something called um she mentions Sibyls, she mentions the root races, And then she mentions the ancient form of Atlantean government. She talk about some of it, and you find bits and pieces of the legend of Atlantis being ran by a group of elders. And the group of elders is male and female, and anybody who want a leadership position, if they wise and they not looking to be a tyrant, you gotta have people that's your elders that's gonna say, no, young man, or in my case, no, you old ass nigga, sit your ass down and don't push that goddamn nuke button and blow Russia off the fucking map. And then I'm gonna be like, well, they threatening to push the nuke button and blow us off the map. And then Big Mama gonna say, well, have you ever had a conversation with that motherfucker? Because he might not be a bad person, but he might have heard some bad shit about you that ain't true. So you should probably go have a conversation before y'all get to pushing all these goddamn buttons unnecessarily willy-nilly, right? So then I say, okay, Big Mama, I'll go call this motherfucker. So I go into my office and I pick up my red phone and say, hey, give me that farting ass president over there in Russia. He be Putin all the time. So one of my assistants is going to put Mr. Putin on the phone. He probably going to be Putin while he on the phone. But while Putin, I'm listening to the shit he's saying. And if it makes sense, I'm going to be like, hey man, that makes sense. And if it don't make sense, I'm going to be like, that don't make sense. Let's try this. But if you got yes man around you, right? Motherfucking ass kissers. Everything you want to do, they go along and get along ass, boot licking, brown nose, motherfucking no spine having jellyfish motherfuckers up under you. Then you don't got nobody holding you accountable. That's not a wise position to be in government. And this is the reason why. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. So when you pick a council of elders, you pick a council of elders knowing that if you about to do some dumb shit that's going to affect the majority of the people, they going to take your ass out of power by vote because you doing dumb shit. The first rule is don't do dumb shit, right? In modern society, for we teach the children, doing dumb shit is anything that's going to get you locked up, beat the fuck up, or raped. If any one of them things gonna happen to you as a man, don't do that dumbass shit, right? So, when you find out that motherfuckers punch motherfuckers in the mouth for running their mouth, motherfuckers punch motherfuckers in their eyes for looking over the fence, right? Motherfuckers get chopped in the throat and punched in the mouth for talking on another person's business with no authorization or justification, right? So that's why I say sometimes in order for you to do the right thing, you gotta punch a motherfucker in the face. It don't mean you mad. It don't mean that you angry. It don't mean that you out for revenge. It just means that sometime in order to do what's right, it's a wrong motherfucker in front of you that need to get punched in the face. He need his snot box pushed back. He need his lips swole up. He need his eyes black. He need that back to get dirty. Then he understand that you can't do dumb shit because dumb shit will get your ass locked up, beat the fuck up, or raped. So we don't want to do that. So we teach the children to perform or to pursue their best life option. What do you want to be when you grow up was a question they used to ask us when we was little children. And then we would tell them, I want to be a fireman. I want to be the police. I want to be the ambulance driver. I'm going to be a doctor. I want to be the lawyer. And then the adults don't do shit to facilitate the fervor of the youth and their desire to pursue their goals. Instead, they just listen to them and go on about their day as business as usual. So, example of how things would be different under the matriarchy. My nephew called me up. He's a Muslim, and he have a son that's brilliant who wants to be a doctor. I sent him my personal medical dictionary and my personal Merck manual of medications. If by the time he's 18, he's assimilated the words in the dictionary and the medicines in the Merck manual, he's about 70% of the way to being a doctor. Now he just need on the hands-on instructions from the instructor, and he will be at the top of his class. The side effect of giving an 8-year-old a medical dictionary that wants to be a doctor is it keeps his interest in the field that he wants to pursue. The second side effect of giving him that amount of information is it bends the mind into a superior stretch that allows them to incorporate other forms of knowledge easier than had they not been exposed to higher levels of knowledge at an earlier age. And so my nephew asked me, he said, I got the books. My sister had gave him the books. He said, I got the books. Mama gave me the books. But what am I supposed to do with them? I said, give them to him. And let me explain to him why I sent them to him and what they for. And if he can understand why I sent them and what they for, they his books. Keep them in his room. He don't have to be in them books all day every day, but he could pick a word here and there. He got plenty of time to assimilate a couple thousand medical terms that will have him speaking medicalese fluently by the time he's 18. If he know the language, he can learn the hands-on craft in a matter of a couple of years. Doogie motherfucking Howser, motherfucking child MD. That's what you're trying to raise. The same would have been, let's say he would have been wanting to be a lawyer. I would have sent him my Black's Law Dictionary, my Bouvier Law Dictionary, and I would have sent him a Constitution, a Declaration of Independence, because that's what we was under at that time. But those would be enough to teach him legalese. So by the time he get to be an adult, he know what the lawyer's saying better than most adults that don't know nothing about what the law say. See, this is why we are behind educationally. Our high school seniors curriculum is 4th grade Japanese curriculum. I think it's like 6th grade Chinese level curriculum, and it's like 5th or 6th grade English or European curriculum. So why does our curriculum of seniors have us at an educational level of a child in junior high school? It doesn't make sense unless there's an agenda attached to it. If there's an agenda attached to it, it makes perfect sense. Part of our job as fathers in the matriarchy, we would be asking the women about the school issues and working on solutions to build the motherfucking football field, put up the goddamn lights, build the motherfucking parking lot because they didn't have one, build a training track for the driver's education. That's the men's job. We supposed to figure that out when the women that's teaching the children express the needs of the children. But now we at a point where the children needs are so neglected that we don't know. We have to start with a mass program of children redevelopment using principles of childhood development. The doctrines that we are using in the training center, our rites of passage program for the boys, is the Nathan and Julia Hare, Haki Madhubuti. We using Amos Ian Wilson. We are also using the FOI military drill format. We're using the Tai Chi Chuan from China, and we are also using Qigong, right? So we implement these in the early training of the children, the boys, so that they can start off self-discipline so we don't have to discipline them. The problem, the reason we have to spank children is because we never teach them how to use self-control by giving them organized things to do. So part of the problem was that the people was educating our children took us out of what was called step-down education. Step-down education was critical because the 18-year-olds, the 17, 18, 19-year-olds taught 14, 15, 16-year-olds. The 14, 15, 16-year-olds taught the 10, 11, 12, 13-year-olds, right? All the way back to you have toddlers, right, that's learning how to teach an infant, a newborn, sign language off the step-down method. You will have a communication network in the family where the children can express themselves at an earlier age where the adults actually know how to supply the actual needs of the child. This is how matriarchy differs. Patriarchy doesn't allow for that. It allows for military-style regimented education in Skinner box using the Pavlovian response system in order to program your child as opposed to teaching them to think. The report came back from the French Revolution that it was only a French Revolution because you had too many people that was capable of thinking for themselves. So how do you stop that? You have to teach a lesser form of education that doesn't rely on the individual to use thought, but instead it relies on the individual to use the ability to follow orders. The what comes out as look-see method in reading, right? So you doing look-see, monkey see, monkey do, copycat shit, but you're not learning nothing. All you doing is mimicking. You being a parrot and you not being a thinker. You just regurgitating some shit. You don't understand the base meaning of it. So we start off under matriarchy. You start off where mothers are teaching children alphabet and they read to them, and then from the alphabet they teaching them phonics. This is a family activity. When they trying to pronounce a word, you pronunciate a word. You go over the word with the child in order to perfect his diction. The better his diction is, the more powerful his speech is. So now his throat chakra is vibrating like a motherfucker at an early age. But be prepared for your child to call you on your bullshit, because they came here to call all grown folks on their bullshit so that the grown folks can bump straight and clean this shit up before our other ancestors come back, right? So we all come through this motherfucker one way or another to help each other. And when we take it as a selfish pursuit, we actually put more obstacles in our path than we move. So we have to look at it from a matriarchal viewpoint. If the children is in the middle, the women around the children and the men around the women, and if you motherfucking lose your motherfucking position and the guys on the side of you don't know it, you gonna pay for that motherfucking shit, right? You can't be the motherfucking pariah in the family. So somebody in the family gonna be appointed that can deal with your temperament without losing their cool to help you get your motherfucking mind right. See, the problem is we not teaching enough children how to grow up with their mind right. So now we have to readjust adults That's why we didn't have prisons before these people came, but now we need them. And I know we need them because I was in there, and there's some motherfuckers thinking some shit that if they was on the streets doing the shit that they was goddamn thinking, and I heard them motherfuckers thinking, because that shit was disturbing to me. Right? So if it's disturbing to me, I can imagine if some of these goody two-shoe don't curse on the motherfucking live, motherfuckers would be had a full-fledged heart attack and a stroke if they knew that that motherfucker was thinking that shit next to them. So, also in the patriarchy, you have the men clear the path for the women to come through. This is what we on right now. This educational campaign I'm on to crash course as many people into a format of self-thinking where you can deal with your own mind. The more people we get that can think freely and independently, the stronger our inner voice is and our inner communication with each other. As Buju Banton once said, through that mystical communication within, we keep on coming together. I love it to see when brothers and sisters is looking out for one another. See, that's them hills and valleys. So if you realize life is a series of hills and valleys, and all hills and valleys is highs and lows, right? So if you can go low enough, by the time it come time to go high, you're going to go higher than everybody else, right? So you have to be willing to put yourself with your back against the wall in some harsh conditions for self-development, unless somebody develops a program that would allow you to develop at what's called an accelerated rate. They got now what they call mega math, mega reading, mega memory programs of varying different educational developments, all of these accelerated programs. The Mega Mind, Mega Math, Mega Reading is a copyright by Kevin Trudeau and the authors he worked with. The one is for math, I think his name is something like Howard Steffenberg, and the other one is for reading. And before, they used to use what's called the Evelyn Woods crunch technique to learn speed reading. But now, with modern inventions and computer technology, we can use computer games to teach you to speed read. Now, here's the thing about speed reading. If a person can speed read, they can consume more data faster than everybody else. Now, if you can convert the data into useful information by allowing it to digest in the mind what you read, periodically review it mentally without referring to the book as much as possible, then you are reorganizing the mind to be able to read the signs of life in real time. Now, if you can take and learn speed reading, and I teach you tarot, right? You see life as a moving tarot deck, right? So all of the cards will be playing out in real time in front of your face, and you will be able to avoid every obstacle. You'll be able to avoid every bad business deal and seize and capitalize on every great business deal. All of these things comes with training. How is the mind trained? So part of the father's job is to make sure that the mother have the resources to tend the home. Make sure that she have enough help to raise the children. If you are not capable of being there, you got to give her some help. One child is enough for one adult, and you got mothers out here raising 10 children by herself with no help. And we act like we don't see that shit. And by the time she get on her 4th and 5th child, nobody's going to want to marry her, but they going to all still want to sleep with her because she's still gorgeous. And she keep popping out babies. But she got such a power in her mother energy, she not going to stop. And that might be her motherfucking contract to come to this life and produce a high number of children. And it just so happened that most of us don't understand how nature works, so we don't even understand how the fuck we work. If we understood how we work according to how nature designed us, but we want to believe based off religious doctrine that we working according to how our will tell us to. We have free will as long as it's within the confines of the great work. The great arcana is what it's called. If you look up the great arcana, they're going to say it was the building of the temple for the end times. It's the great work. It's the work that all nations do to contribute their part to the building of the great temple. And the great temple is called Solomon's temple. And Solomon's temple was designed by Hiram Abiff, and the master builder. But he was struck by 3 ruffians and left for dead. But little did they know, all they did was fuel his passion for greater success. So not only did he rebuild the temple, but he built that motherfucker in a more grandiose design than they had ever anticipated, because they had wrote Hiram off. Because they said the master would never come with the master grips and the lion's paw and extract him from his shallow grave in the Northwest Territory. The Northwest Territory is Michigan, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana, right? And part of Ohio was in the Northwest order. So when they say they took him to the Northwest Territory, he either in Chicago, Detroit, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Gary, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Grand Rapids, Lansing. It's one of these cities that he must be buried in his shallow grave, right? So now we know he in the Northwest Territory because they tell us that in the story, that he was took on a northwesterly course and buried in the shallow grave. But the shallow grave is an illusion the whole time, because Hiram gonna raise himself, but he just need the proper motivation in order to come up from under the little shallow soil that they call dark matter, which is carbon, which is 666, which is the number of a man. And the number of the man is the beast man, which is the man who was Nebuchadnezzar, who foraged around in the field with the animals, and one day he woke up and realized that he was the baddest motherfucker ever born, and I'm going back to claim my motherfucking kingdom. The fuck I'm out here eating with these buffoons, idiots, and clowns for, when I can be up here motherfucking sipping and supping with motherfucking kings and queens? This doesn't make sense to me. I'm not staying down here in these goddamn fields, what they call dismal crypts, and these motherfucking dark places in society, like a motherfucker hiding out trying to keep from getting caught. Motherfucker, I did my years of motherfucking living life on the lam, right? So I'm not running from no motherfucker. I'm not ducking, and I'm not goddamn hiding. I'm telling you motherfuckers out the gate, we raising the matriarchy, because Elijah Muhammad said no nation, no people can rise higher than his women. So that just tells me, if it makes sense, behind every great man, it's a great woman. So if that makes sense, in raising a woman to a position of prominence in order to raise the whole civilization to a position of prominence, why not call her who the fuck she is and say she God, right? So we call her Big Mama. That's so that they understand that Prime Creator is feminine. What we call Grand Shakti, right? That Shakti energy that you see Kali Ma with the tongue sticking out because she about to tear some shit up about her babies. Or you see Sekhmet on the bloodlust rage because somebody done violated the children. So now when you turn these sisters loose, and now they calling for motherfucking King Kong and Mighty Joe Young, here we come beating our chest coming out the goddamn wilderness, and motherfuckers saying, where did these niggas come from? We thought they was all extinct. That's the endangered species. We talked about them motherfuckers from the 60s to the 2000s. We thought we got rid of them, but they still here. These niggas swinging from lampposts by the droves, pounding on their motherfucking chests and smashing the concrete. These motherfuckers C-walking and B-walking and cholo stepping up and down this motherfucker across the brown and the motherfucking tan and the motherfucking red man. We up in this bitch laying this shit down, right? Yep, Dr. Claude Anderson in the Powernomics program was taught in order to get us back to financial literacy and to understand that our finances has just been held in seclusion. We just haven't had access to them. It ain't that we don't got wealth. We just think we don't got wealth because we've been living in poverty. But if you understood we had open war conjures, and long as you go into war, you can't make money. Can't make money and go to war at the same time. It's counterproductive. So you store up your motherfucking wealth so in the time of war, you got some resources to fall back on. Mama said, look at it and get a little change out the satchel and go fight that war. So I went and got a little change out the satchel and went and fought that motherfucking war. She said, don't leave no stone unturned, because Big Mama said, don't leave no stone unturned. So I turned to my mama and I said, yes, ma'am. But I don't know what the fuck she talking about, because I'm a fucking baby. But I'm going to figure it out, because she said, oh, you smart, you'll figure it out. And I was saying to myself, but they just told you I wasn't going to never learn nothing. And I'm thinking that to myself, because they already told her that I'm slightly retarded. I can't learn. My brain don't work right. Some kind of way this nigga fucked up. But they didn't know all I did was tank my motherfucking intelligence so that they'd never know what I know. Because I'm going to know some shit that they don't know that I know. And they going to be looking over me all the time, looking for me. And I'm going to be sitting right there in the front row like I'm not even there. And right before their very eyes, they won't even realize that they can't even fucking see me. Standing there. In your motherfucking face, not behind your back, up close and personal. I'm breathing on you motherfuckers' mustache. A whole fucking 900-pound gorilla in the room. So when we go to protecting women and making sure that the necessary resources is available, then we also have to know how to get the fuck out the way when we don't know what we doing and let her do her job and watch. Because if a good man watch a good woman that's a good mother be a mother, he's going to learn how to be a good father even if he didn't know before. Right? A good man that's watched a good woman raise children can teach an empty-headed, airhead chick how to be a good mother by making her stay focused on the children. If you keep the women focused on the children, y'all stop thinking with y'all peas. That means penises and pussies. Y'all stop thinking with that shit and start thinking with y'all brain, and then you can start seeing what I'm talking about. It makes so much fucking sense and make your life so much fucking easier. But no, everybody just don't want to listen to Rod because that nigga crazy. You know, he don't know what the fuck he talking about. He don't got no receipts. But they don't never check my receipts. When I offer the receipts, they don't check my receipts. Why they don't check my receipts? I be checking receipts to see if a motherfucker saying what he's saying. They don't check my why they don't check my receipts? My receipts don't work because they be fire. Solid ass receipts. But my receipts ain't good enough or something? Well, like the scholars that I go pull from the Scholastic record to give you the same information ain't good enough for the shit that I tell you. I mean, I know I ain't got no degrees and shit, and I only got a GED. That just means guerrilla educational degree. So I was guerrilla educated in guerrilla warfare, and guerrilla psychology, and guerrilla market and the stocks, and the guerrilla trade, and the guerrilla game. I was beating around and pouncing through the Congo in the gorilla motherfucking jungle. So why in the fuck wouldn't I know some gorilla shit? I'm just saying, I just got a gorilla educational degree. You know what I'm saying? I just got a PhD in sidewalk psychology. I got an undergrad in motherfucking backyard pimpology. This is just the normal shit that we do when we trying to live off the fat of the land. But if you don't know how to be a man, you can't never learn to live off the fat of the land. So one of the tests determine if the chief is to find out that nigga can get it from the dirt. He can get it from, if the resource is available, he can get it from the dirt. Right? So drop me off in the jungle, butt booty ass naked, and I'm gonna come out that bitch with a goddamn fur on, some alligators. Seriously. I'm not bullshitting. Have me a bamboo shoot motherfucking suit on. I'm not finna be in that bitch suffering though. I don't got time for that shit. It's too many motherfuckers in this world that don't know how to survive. I know how to survive. I can survive in the city. I can survive in the country. I can survive in the desert. I can survive in the forest. I can survive anywhere they put me on this bitch. Send me to Antarctica. I don't give a fuck, or the North Pole, the Arctic. It don't even matter. I'll come back that motherfucker dressed up like a goddamn polar bear when you get done seeing me again, nigga. I'm not bullshitting. The part of life that we all are missing is stop and set your motherfucking intentions on what you want to become and the heights that you want to attain. My thing is, I just wanted to know why my people was in the condition they in, because the last time I was here, I left these motherfuckers sitting pretty. I mean, shit. Had Pharaoh money, so I left them all set up nice, and motherfuckers was living on high off the hog. We was able to let the trainee chiefs come in and have a little run at it, and as soon as we leave the trainees in charge, here come the bad kids come join the school and fuck everything up. Now University Earth then turned into the prison planet, and now I had to come in, play warden, and try to break everybody out this bitch. But my receipts ain't no good. Make that shit make sense. Motherfuckers exposing some shit that's already exposed, and my receipts ain't no good. I told y'all, every one of us not Moors. That's a fact. We was here before the word Moor was ever a word. The word Moor is not an ancient word. The etymology research tells you that. But they want us to believe we all Moors so they can say that we came from Africa, and then they can pretend to be us and make us think we somebody else. Trick no good. Trick no good. And that's why we had to have motherfuckers teach more science coded with our shit. We gonna always know our shit. Right? We gonna always know. That's my shit. That's my shit. All that rapping and tapping to see what's happening, that's my shit. That's how they call me. So when you see rap music arriving, them motherfuckers is calling. Well, they wasn't calling me first. I'm the last resort. The nigga they don't want to call. The one the motherfucker don't want to wake that nigga up. He the wrong nigga to fuck with. That nigga not gonna be happy with the way this shit turning out, because there's too many motherfucking real niggas being falling for nothing, because a bunch of motherfuckers is being pussy, and instead of helping the motherfucker in the righteous endeavor, they try to tear him down while he pursue righteousness, and then they want you to believe that they own some legit shit when everything they doing is about tearing another motherfucker down. What the fuck you think their purpose is? To tear motherfuckers down. There is no other purpose. If that's all they doing is tearing motherfuckers down or attempting to tear motherfuckers down, they have no other purpose. That means that's to tell you right there, they not for the benefit of the collective. I don't put my motherfucking cash app up unless motherfuckers ask for that shit. The same motherfuckers is burning bread on me keep their cash app posted. Nigga, you gotta look for my shit. You gotta ask for it or look for it. And half the time I get an attitude when a motherfucker asks for it. But I know, based on the rules of the game, I got to get a cash app up. Because I got to have reciprocity and gratitude and accept the donation. But shit, I would rather for them to teach 10 motherfuckers than to give me $1. Because if we keep doing that shit exponentially, this shit'll be over in about 2 days. But motherfuckers want to keep the knowledge to themselves, so the gratitude is the gratitude. However they show the appreciation, they show the appreciation. right? But the haters, I only worried about that shit because mama told me you ain't making it until you get your hater club. I got my hater club up. I'm trying to get some more haters. So hashtag fuck Rod Hayes for all of the haters that want to hate. You know, I'm trying to get my hater game up. Because the more haters I get, that means the more I know I'm making it and I'm doing the right shit. Right? So that's y'all motherfucking hashtag if y'all want to join the hater committee. I'm not bullshitting. I'll start that motherfucker myself. Because I'm sick of seeing my goddamn face on social media. If I could tell a motherfucker to get this nigga face off social media, I would be more than happy to say that shit. Get this nigga. I'm tired of looking at him. Every time I'm on social media, this motherfucker face popping up somewhere. I don't want to see this nigga no more. I'm sick of him. I'm sick of looking at him. I've been looking at this motherfucker for 53 years. I don't want to see this motherfucker every time I log on social media. I want to see some motherfucking chicks shaking their ass. I want to see motherfuckers telling good stories about how their life done been changed for the better. I don't want to keep seeing my fucking face all over this bitch. And then this shit ain't for me. You know? So, to serve in the priesthood, we have a saying in the priesthood. It say, the highest virtue is to be of service to your fellow man. Right? They talk about it in Christianity as doing to others as you have them do unto you. They talk about it in physics as for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. That's unless it's due to elasticity, in which case the reaction is delayed. And elasticity means some shit done been stretched out. Well, this shit done been stretched out longer than it need to be. So the men's role as far as protect, that means that you can't be the motherfucker that the family need protecting from if you the protector. That don't make no fucking sense. You supposed to be the motherfucker that when the boogeyman come, the wife and kids run behind you. But it seemed to me, from what I've been seeing lately, when the boogeyman come, the wife and kids is running from daddy. I'm like, what the fuck part of the game is this shit? That's not protect part, right? Some people have a low tolerance for certain character types or people that believe a certain way. They shouldn't entertain them people in their day-to-day life because all it's going to do is continuously frustrate them. That's why I don't go to church. Because I be sick of sitting there listening to these motherfucking preachers that I know they lying. I had no doubt in my mind this motherfucker lying because he went to the seminary where they teach them how to tell the best lie possible in the most convincing manner to convince the most motherfuckers to believe that they non-believers unless they accept their Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. And all the time, what they not telling you is if you accept your goddamn self as your own Savior, you don't need Jesus no more. The helping hand you looking for, says Malachi Z. York, is at the end of your own fucking arm. Right? So, the head of the family, as the mother, and her motherfucking vice president is the father. But he ain't really like the vice president. He ain't really like a good term. He the motherfucking chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Her motherfucking number 2 girl is her vice president. And when they get to the point where they can't handle this shit no more, they call over to the motherfucking round table to the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and say, hey, Papa Bear, fix this shit. These niggas acting up. Tell Tupac, no, fuck the letter to the president. Yeah. Tell him don't write that motherfucker. Tell him to write the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff because the president is out of the office. So, dear Mr. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, tell me what to do. These niggas acting up in the hood. Send more troops. They is. But we don't want no motherfucking police. Them the niggas that's acting up. Them the frauds in the community, pretending to be law enforcers and law givers to the people. They lying. They imposters. They slave catchers. They work for the enemy. They came over as part of the enemy's entire structure. And they advanced across the land catching slaves. Overthrew the Sharif. Y'all don't even know who the high Sharif on the land is because you motherfuckers believe the police is the law. So I can't even help you motherfuckers get out of the condition until you wake up to the reality that the police tricked you, the judges tricked you, the deputy tricked you, the teacher tricked you, the preacher tricked you, and all of the politicians has been playing the dog and pony show in your face, buck dancing niggas. That's all they've been doing. They've been buck dancing niggas playing the theatrical performance out while they telling you what's being done in the background, piecemeal. When I told y'all the continuity of government is a FEMA document, I recently, right before this video, put up some FEMA information with executive orders and FEMA powers in it, and I put the cover of the document, the FEMA document up. And you need to read the cover real careful because on there it says tribal governments on the cover of the FEMA document. I mean, shit. It can't get no more specific than that. The FEMA is continuity of government, and continuity government can only be activated at the fall of America. Think about that shit for a minute. And they over there in Raven Rock, Colorado, Cheyenne Mountains, the War Room, restructuring the government according to the needs of the children, and it's two rules. This is the two main rules they have to follow. Before you make a decision, does it harm the children? Does it harm the earth? If you say yes to either one of them, it's over. You can't go. That's a no for that thing. If it harms the children and it harms the earth, it will not be allowed from this point forward. That's simple. It's not rocket science. It's not nuclear physics. It's not quantum physics. It's not astrophysics. It's not geometry, trigonometry. It's basic math. 1 + 1 = 2. Unless it equals 3. Think about that for a minute. Let your noodle fry on that. So, in the matriarchy, it's not about replacing the leadership with just putting women in a position of power, because women can be corrupted with power too. If you don't believe me, ask Hillary. If she's breathing, ask her. Ask Nancy. They know. They got pseudo power and went crazy. Imagine if the motherfuckers had God powers. They had fake powers. They was playing superhero and thought they was an actual superhero. Imagine if the motherfuckers got some real power, how they would have acted. Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, George Herbert Walker Bush, George Walker Bush, Jeb Bush. These motherfuckers would have had some real power with the type of shit they was doing with the fake power. You motherfuckers would probably be their motherfucking hamburger tonight. Y'all lucky wherever they is, the motherfuckers that's the black hand, hiding behind the scenes, under the KKK robes, right? With a black hand, under a KKK robe. With a black hand, under a KKK robe. Them niggas who came over here to replace us because they said that we would never be smart enough to figure out who the fuck we was. And they was kicking our ass. Because every time one of us figured out who the fuck they was, they murdered them. Because they was holding our people to the same accountability as theirs in a bloody oath of murdering the kings, the princes, and the people of the land, right? And under their bloody oath that they swore allegiance between each other to never divulge the secret that the original man, that so-called Asiatic black man, owner, maker, cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe, was none other than Tahuti himself. And if they don't never know that they part of Tahuti's people, and they don't have enough wherewithal to figure out who the fuck Tahuti is and where this nigga at, and you go through the hood and all you hear these niggas screaming is Tahuti who, well, Tahuti is who you think he is, motherfucker, the high chief of the land. That motherfucker, lead feather-wearing motherfucker from the Feathers clan. That's who he is. Now, when they tell you this is God's country, what the fuck is they talking about? You ask yourself that. Why they call this the promised land? Who the fuck was it promised to? Who promised it to him? Make this shit make sense for me, Put the shit together. So, we in God's country, that's the promised land, also known as the land of milk and honey, which is the great melding pot, which requires one drop of blood in order to become part of the clans. Wait a minute, man. Where in the fuck is all that shit come from? That's the standard American shit. Baseball, hot dogs, apple pies, and Chevrolet. All American shit. Right? So, what we at now is you about to see this shit, but you don't even know they telling you finna see it. So let me give y'all a spoiler alert. I'm gonna give y'all one. Y'all see me post a hurricane that's supposed to hit in September of this year. But it's written past tense as if it's already happened. Right? September ain't got here yet. So how can they write it in the past tense? Because it's a football pass. Monkey in the goddamn middle. He who is wise, let him catch the sign. Right? FEMA is activated fully in a natural disaster that affects the nation. And if a hurricane is the most expensive hurricane on record, but it haven't happened yet, that's the most expensive transfer of power on record, which means it's going to crash banks, which means it's going to collapse mortgage companies, which means it's going to crush mortgage frauds. Because once all of this shit happened, like the last time in the 2008 real estate crash, all of the paperwork revealed a mass mortgage fraud network, right? And this mass mortgage fraud was predicated up on a double payment for your mortgage. You paying for it twice and don't even know it, right? So what they was doing is they was accessing your indemnity account to pay for the property, and then they charged you the price of the house to access your indemnity account and pay for the property as if they gave you something that wasn't yours already. And you fell for it because you didn't know that you was an imbecile in law, and that literacy in law is required in order to move from law unto grace. Because if you're not literate of the law, you will never know that there's jurisdictional classifications of law in which galactic jurisdiction overrides the individual jurisdiction of nations. And world court jurisdiction overrides all of the nations. Right? So I'm going to do a part 2 to this, because I got 22 seconds and it's going to cut out. But I'm gonna come right back on, and we're gonna take some questions on the structuring of the matriarchy and the role of the patriarch. So if y'all got y'all questions, y'all could come up to the panel and ask after this 4, 3, 2, 1 seconds. So